Mark has $400,000 invested into this operation, and that's a lot of money. I'm hoping that we can get their plant set up, get them on some better material so that way they can turn that around.
It's the ultimate treasure hunt, but the map is broken. Miners are losing gold, money, and their patience. Enter gold experts Freddy and Juan. These two bring garage-built brilliance that outperforms million-dollar engineering. Whether it's pushing a trommel to wash rock faster than ever, or narrowing a sluice to turn water into a high-pressure jet, every adjustment is made with one goal in mind: profit. Because if the system isn't tuned just right, those ripples fill with sand instead of gold. They specialize in finding gold the old-timers missed and fixing problems that have been draining miners' wallets for decades. But one particular upgrade seems to defy logic, until you see the gold start piling up and smoking in the pan. Here's the reality. Gold comes in many shapes and sizes, but the hardest kind to catch is super fine gold. It's basically gold dust, so light that it can float on water if you're not careful. For Peter and the Flett family, this invisible gold was their biggest nightmare. They were sitting on a potential fortune, but their equipment was treating that gold like waste. Sure, they were catching the big rocks, but the fine gold, the kind that actually pays the bills long term, was washing straight into the tailings pile. They were losing so much gold that after days of work, they were barely pulling a quarter ounce. That's hardly enough to cover diesel, let alone turn a profit. The main issue was their screening system. The mesh they were using kept clogging up, blinded by rocks and sticky clay. It was like trying to drain pasta using a bowl instead of a colander. Nothing could flow through properly. But Freddy and Juan didn't just slap on a quick fix. They brought in a tool usually found in high-tech labs, a finishing table. This isn't your grandpa's sluice box. A finishing table uses a precise balance of water, gravity, and rapid vibration to separate heavy gold from lighter black sand. Watching it work is almost hypnotic. As the table shakes, a clean line of yellow gold slowly appears, separating itself from the waste like magic. To make this work, Juan had to completely overhaul the main plant. First, he removed the old blinded screens and replaced them with larger mesh. It sounds backwards. Bigger holes usually mean losing material, but not in this case. The larger openings allowed the material to move freely, creating a more aggressive vortex that trapped gold instead of choking the system. Bigger rocks moved through, but that also meant any larger gold had a chance to make it into the sluice. With the flow restored, the fine material could finally drop down to be processed properly. Next came another hidden problem: friction. The conveyor belt was slipping under the weight of wet sand, costing them valuable runtime. The fix was simple, but effective. Freddy and Juan tossed sand into the head pulley to increase friction. It wasn't pretty, but it worked, and the belt came back to life. When they fired up the upgraded system, the difference was undeniable. The material wasn't just sliding across the screens anymore, it was moving, flowing, dancing. And when they ran the concentrates across the new finishing table, the results were jaw-dropping. They went from finding almost nothing to watching a thick, beautiful line of gold form right before their eyes. And then came the real surprise. During cleanup, buried within the fine gold dust, they uncovered something no one expected: a massive nugget weighing over an ounce in a single piece. That moment changed everything. In one test run, they went from 0.27 ounces to more than 1.06 ounces. The amount of gold recovered was staggering, and proof that the gold had been there all along. It just needed the right system to catch it. Between 1863 and 1899, miners pulled roughly $3 million worth of gold from this ground. What's happening now is on a completely different level. We're talking about a 3,000% jump in efficiency and recovery. When you factor in runtime and volume, the Flett family went from being on the verge of shutting down to realizing they could earn more than $600,000 in a single season. This wasn't magic. It was physics, done right. By understanding gold's specific gravity and giving it the right conditions to settle, Freddy and Juan transformed a failing dirt pit into a true gold-producing machine. But another crew was battling an enemy even worse than invisible gold: clay. Clay is the silent killer of gold mines. It's sticky, heavy, and acts like a thief. It grabs onto gold nuggets and carries them straight out of the sluice box before they ever have a chance to be caught. For the Dietz brothers, known as the Scots, clay was destroying their operation. Their wash plant was constantly choking. Every time they tried to run, clay would ball up, clog the hopper, and shut everything down within an hour. You can't make money if you're stopping every 60 minutes to shovel out mud. The Scots were barely processing any material at all. And in mining, volume is everything. If you're not running dirt, you're not finding gold. Juan took one look at their trommel, the big rotating drum that washes the rocks, and immediately saw the problem. It was spinning far too slowly, turning at about 10 revolutions per minute. At that speed, the rocks just slide around gently. Heavy clay doesn't break apart that way. To beat clay, you need aggression. You need the rocks smashing into each other hard enough to scrub the gold clean. So Juan made a major change. He swapped out the drive pulley to gear the system up, increasing the trommel speed from 10 to 16 revolutions per minute. That might not sound like much, but in terms of centrifugal force, it's a 60% increase. Suddenly, the trommel wasn't just tumbling, it was thrashing. Rocks came out clean, clay was breaking apart, and gold finally had a chance to drop into the sluice. But washing the dirt was only half the battle. The gold still had to be caught. Freddy noticed that the water in their sluice box was fighting itself. Instead of flowing smoothly, it was chaotic, splashing and bouncing in all the wrong ways. That kind of turbulence pushes gold right out of the box. Freddy adjusted the angle of the sluice and fine-tuned the riffles to create what he calls a vortex. In fluid dynamics, a vortex is a spinning flow of water. Behind every riffle, you want a small horizontal tornado. That spinning water creates a low-pressure zone where heavy gold can drop out of the flow and settle into the matting, while lighter sand gets carried away. When they fired the system back up, the difference was obvious. The water stopped splashing and started flowing with rhythm. The clay that used to clog everything was now being pulverized by the faster trommel and washed away by perfectly formed vortexes. The results were immediate. They ran for hours without a single clog. They processed twice as much dirt as ever before. And when they weighed the gold, the numbers told the story. They recovered 1.13 ounces in a single day. The best run they'd ever had. That's a 700% increase in daily production. By simply making the machine spin faster and the water flow smarter, they turned a clay-choked pit into a reliable moneymaker. But the smartest fix of all didn't cost a single dime. Sometimes the simplest solutions solve the biggest problems. The Dickinson family had a major issue: dirty water. In gold mining, clean water is essential. Gold settles because it's heavier than water. But when the water is thick with mud and silt, its density changes. The water becomes more buoyant, and the gold can actually float, riding right out of the sluice instead of sinking. The Dickinsons had to recycle their water because they didn't have an endless supply. But the longer they ran, the dirtier the water became, and the more gold they lost. Large industrial mines fix this with expensive chemical injection systems that add flocculant to clean the water. Out here, though, the solution wasn't chemicals or machines. It was understanding nature and letting physics do the work. Flocculant is a polymer that binds to clay particles, making them heavier so they sink to the bottom of a settling pond. That leaves the water above clean and clear. Industrial flocculation systems can cost tens of thousands of dollars, money the Dickinsons simply didn't have. They were losing gold because they couldn't afford the solution. That's where Freddy's ingenuity really showed. Instead of ordering a computerized pump, he grabbed an old tin can and a rusty bolt. Here's what he did. He punched a hole in the bottom of the can and slid the bolt through it, leaving it slightly loose. Then he filled the can with liquid flocculant and hung it over the flowing water. The loose bolt acted like a crude valve. As the water moved, the bolt wiggled just enough to release a tiny drip of flocculant every few seconds. It was a backyard fix that cost practically nothing, but it worked just like a $10,000 system. Within minutes, the change was visible. The muddy brown water in the pond began to separate. The clay clumped together and sank like rocks, leaving clear water on top, clean enough to look drinkable, even if you wouldn't actually want to. With clean water circulating back into the plant, the sluice boxes started working the way they were supposed to. The gold could finally settle and stay put. That simple tin can, combined with a new tailings chute built to catch overflowing water, completely transformed their operation. They went from running only half days because of mud to running full 10-hour shifts. Their gold recovery jumped from a measly 0.16 ounces to 1.13 ounces. That's an enormous improvement. They increased their gold sevenfold just by cleaning their water with a soup can. It proves you don't need millions of dollars to make millions. You just need to understand how matter behaves. But one miner had been losing gold for 20 straight years. Instantly, 37% more gold. Mike, out in Nevada, is a legend, at least in his own mind. He's been scratching away at the high desert dirt for 2 decades, living completely off the grid, surviving on grit, canned food, and absolute confidence in his own abilities. He was convinced his homemade wash plant was capturing 98% of the gold in the ground. That belief, however, was a dangerous illusion. For Freddy and Juan, this is the hardest situation of all. You can't easily tell a seasoned miner, a man who has poured blood and sweat into the land for 20 years, that he's been sabotaging himself since the early 2000s. It's an ego-crushing conversation. But in gold mining, the math doesn't care about your feelings, your history, or your pride. The math only cares about gravity. Mike's wash plant wasn't just a machine. It was a Frankenstein creation built from scavenged parts. Old asphalt dryers welded to oil barrels, held together with hope and rusty bolts. It looked like something pulled straight from a post-apocalyptic movie. But the real problem wasn't the rust, it was the chute. Here's where the jet stream theory comes in. After the material passed through the jig, Mike forced it into a narrow, 9-inch wide steel trough. Think about a garden hose. Put your thumb over the end, and the water shoots out faster and harder. By cramming thousands of pounds of gravel and water through that tight channel, Mike wasn't building a sluice. He was building a water cannon. The theory is unsettling. Without realizing it, Mike had created a particle accelerator for gold. The water was moving so violently that the gold didn't even have a fraction of a second to settle. Instead, it was being blasted straight out the end of the box. According to the physics, there's a very real chance that for 20 years, Mike had been firing gold nuggets out the back of his machine like bullets. He wasn't mining, he was reloading. Freddy's fix was simple geometry, but to Mike, it felt like open heart surgery. Freddy cut away the narrow chute and replaced it with a sluice box that was 22 inches wide. The logic was simple and undeniable. By more than doubling the width, the water could spread out. When water spreads out, it slows down. And when it slows down, the one rule that never fails takes over: gravity. The gold finally had time to drop and stay put. But there was still another major leak, one that led to the shocking theory of the $1 million trash pile. Mike was using an old oil barrel as a dewatering drum. Holes had been punched in it to let the water drain out, but those holes were completely plugged with rocks. Instead of draining properly, water was pooling inside the barrel. The fine gold that should have been captured was riding on top of the wet rocks, surfing its way up the conveyor belt and falling straight into the waste pile. Juan decided to pan the tailings, the so-called garbage pile, and what he found was alarming. In a single pan, he uncovered 9 pieces of gold. That's a catastrophic loss. It led to a jaw-dropping realization. Mike's waste pile might actually be one of the richest gold deposits in Nevada. For 20 years, he had been digging gold out of the ground, running it through a system that couldn't catch it, and neatly stacking it in a pile labeled waste. If he walked over there with a metal detector, the ground would practically light up. He had been throwing away a retirement fund every single week. The fix was surprisingly simple. Juan installed a high-pressure spray bar. He welded a pipe inside the barrel that blasted water directly onto the drain holes. This kept them clear and stripped the gold off the rocks before they ever reached the conveyor belt. None of these changes required new engines or massive spending. They were all about correcting flow, slowing water where needed, and directing it properly. When they finally ran the test, the tension was thick enough to cut with a welding torch. The result? Mike's 20-year-old wash plant produced 2.2 ounces of gold in the test run, a staggering 37% increase over his previous numbers. Freddy and Juan proved that gold mining isn't just about luck. It's about efficiency. Whether it's a high-tech finishing table or a rusty bolt in a tin can, the right adjustment can turn a weekend operation into a serious gold producer. So the real question is, are you just working hard, or are you working smart? If you love clever engineering and smart fixes, hit the like button and subscribe for more gold mining secrets. And tell us, what would you buy with your first jar of gold? Drop it in the comments.